Just got a new pair of shell Cordovan Aldens in. These are the Alden shell Cordovan Color 8 Chukkas. The model number is 1339. And I'm just sort of doing the initial break-in period on these and thought I would shoot a short video on them. The Chukka boot has become quite popular in the last several years for good reason. They're very easy to get on and off because they only have two eyelets. And they can also be dressed down very easily as well as dressed up. So I can wear these with a suit or with jeans. And I think they look equally good, you know, either way. These use the Horween shell Cordovan, which is, you know, very highly sought after. And I've actually been looking for these shoes in my size for over a year, and they've been hard to find. They're not necessarily like special makeups or anything, but I don't think that Alden produces that many of these. J. Crew had them for a while, but quickly sold out about a year ago and have not got any back in. So I consider these sort of rare, although, you know, you might be able to find them in certain Alden retailers. But as you can see, they're just a really good looking shoe. They're sort of like a cross between a plain toe blucher and a boot, but of course they're not as high up as a boot. You know, they're only like ankle boots, as you can see here. These are on the Alden Berry Last, which is very comfortable last and seem to fit me quite well in the 8D size, which is what these are. And again, these are the Alden Color 8, which is the dark burgundy, sort of almost black, but real dark brown and sort of eggplant-like in terms of the color, which I think is an awesome color. Over the years, this color does fade and turns more brownish, which is kind of nice. But I think these are going to be very versatile in terms of wearing casually or wearing formally. And I just really like the Chukkas. I think, you know, that they're quite a neat shape and sort of universal. When I was younger, I didn't like Chukkas for some reason. I don't know why. I just thought they were sort of ugly. But now I have like the almost opposite point of view on that. So I think these are just awesome shoes. Because these are shell Cordovan, they retail for about $670 or so right now, maybe a little bit more. And you know, that's quite expensive for shoes, but you got to remember shell Cordovan is kind of rare and in pretty short supply, especially here in the United States. There's only one tannery that makes shell Cordovan here in the US, and that's Horween out of Chicago. I've mentioned them before in other videos. They've been doing it for over 100 years, but you know, shell Cordovan is pretty rare here in the United States because it's horse leather, comes from the rear quarters of a horse, and horse leather is just really hard to find these days. You know, it used to be in the United States. Horse meat was actually kind of popular for people to eat, but now that's not so popular anymore. They do still eat horse meat in France, and so subsequently a lot of the shell Cordovan comes from France and also Canada as well, mostly these days. But that's primarily the reason why shell Cordovan is so rare. The other interesting thing is I've been kind of looking at the prices of shell Cordovan shoes over the last 3 or 4 years, and it seems that it goes up even higher than the rate of inflation in terms of the value of them. I would estimate that it goes up about 5 to 7% per year in terms of the value of shell Cordovan, or how much a pair of shell Cordovan Alden shoes would cost you every year, because you know the price does seem to go up every year. So I'm not saying that you can actually use these as an investment necessarily, but for instance, if you were to buy these shell Cordovan shoes or another Alden shell Cordovan shoe and then decide you don't like it, you know, a couple years later, you can certainly recoup much of your money by selling them, you know, on places like eBay or something like that. So, because people do buy used shell Cordovan shoes, so that's just something to be aware of. But I sort of look at them as an investment. You know, I can wear these probably the rest of my life, or at least a good portion of the rest of my life. They can be recrafted and resold many times. And in terms of the fashion, you've heard me say this in other videos, you know, I just really like American workmanship and the fact that these take very little maintenance in terms of what you need to do to keep them shiny. I mean, these things will remain shiny for a long time without me having to hardly do anything, you know, in terms of polishing them or anything. You just brush them and wipe them a little bit, and that's pretty much all you have to do to maintain them. I mean, you can use a little bit of polish every once in a while, but maybe only like twice a year or something. Shell Cordovan really does not require a lot of shoe polish or anything like that. So I also really like the fact that the shell Cordovan doesn't really crack or anything. It just sort of folds as you wear them. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wear these around the house for a little while and just break them in before I wear them outside, but I thought I'd shoot this short video on them. Again, this has been my look of the Alden 1339 Shell Cordovan Chukkas in the Horween Color 8. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them. Take care.